Ready. Play.
Yeah, Zheng was also another player where I kind of just slept through her match more or less because it didn't feel to me like she would struggle. However, she has Victoria Mboko in the next round, and that's the one I was really excited already when we saw the draw. And of course, Mboko had to be like placed in it, I think, coming from the qualifying. But then she maybe would have to go through Peyton Stearns to see Qinwen. That didn't happen. And now, I mean, the story I think is just amazing. So obviously 42-5 for the season, I think the Canadian is. And I think she will be the first big test for Qinwen for sure. I mean, I've said this pretty stupid comparison on the stream a couple of days ago, but Boko to me is kind of like Parks if she had margin in her game. Of course, not the same kind of serve, but in terms of just ball striking, pace, I love that we finally have a player like this who also should be able to do this consistently. In fact, is already doing this consistently. The other matches she played against like top players, Goff, Badosa, they've been, well, okay, Goff only one set, but against Badosa it was super close. I think this is going to be an absolute cracker, probably my favorite matchup of the third round. I guess we only know half the matchups so far. But yeah, I mean, I think it's still going to be my favorite matchup of the third round, regardless of what we see set up for the next day, for Saturday. And yeah, that was kind of like the main story regarding Qinwen to me today. As the match itself against Arango, it wasn't that good. Arango, of course, she has that altitude runs and stuff like that. She controls the ball pretty well in conditions like that, but I don't really think she has like enough quality in her ground strokes, especially to keep up with players like this.
No, I thought that would be the case when when that was the result and that was the matchup. I was like, yeah, Zheng winning that one. So obviously you slept through that match, but did you catch any of Mboko beating Lise? If not, I caught it.
Go for it then. I watched a lot of Mboko's qualifying round and then the Lulu Sun win in the opening round. But today I also kind of just assumed she would probably be through. 11 a.m. was when my favorite section was playing. So what I had on my two screens.
That should have been your priority, absolutely. But I wanted to watch that match because I hadn't seen Mboko play yet, and I'd seen a lot of hype around her. It was just always like she was always playing when I couldn't watch. But now I could, so I could have that on. And I agree with everything you're saying. Like, there's this high margin, controlled aggression from her that I'm really impressed that she has as an 18-year-old. Like, everything's so kind of clean in the way that she hits it. There's also a bit of variety. She was drop shotting and slicing quite a fair bit on the backhand, feeling like she needed to. So you can say that's that versatility that's coming forth from the clay service. I will say that Lise put up a heck of a fight. She counterpunched really well as she does. She broke back several times. It was 6-4, 6-4, but there was a lot of back and forth. It was a good match for Mboko to come through and kind of be a little bit tested, especially since there's going to be a lot more power coming at her from Qinwen. So that was kind of how I saw it. But yeah, I'm very impressed with how well-rounded Mboko's game is at this point in her career. It's kind of I'm going to make this comparison, given although one is way more hyped than the other, but she feels to me a bit like the João Fonseca of the WTA tour. Like in terms of, she's kind of come through like with this more or less well-rounded game. Like João has a lot of very aggressive play. That's their first thought, and there's a lot of hype behind both, even though they're both already 18. So that's kind of how
because the best youngster is Andreeva, but like obviously that's not a similar game to Fonseca. So no, if you were looking for a Fonseca on the WTA tour, I guess Mboko is the way to go. Yeah.
And Andreeva's already kind of made that top 10 breakthrough, whereas we're waiting for that to happen with João. So yeah, similar games, similar trajectories, similar ages. I'd say that's probably the closer comparison. But yeah, so I guess looking at that, hopefully that's enough of a breakdown for those who maybe haven't seen Mboko yet, in terms of how she plays and how she came through today. So we're expecting Mboko to be a big test for Zheng. I think that is one of the most exciting matches from this half of the draw to happen. And I think that it's hard to call because obviously Mboko's had, as you've mentioned, these two really close one really close match with Badosa in Miami that she narrowly lost, and took a set off Goff in Rome. So I think a lot of this match is going to be how Zheng handles the challenge of Mboko coming for it, because Mboko's going to play without fear. And I think in some ways that's probably what's going to be the decider of it. Is Zheng going to tap into her experience and find a way through it, or is she going to find it difficult with someone giving it as much of a challenge?
I think I might have gone for Mboko in my bracket. I have to check, but I think I might have.
Okay, Damien's double checking his bracket. I didn't do one this time, so but
I also had Diana Schneider in my semifinals, so don't listen to me.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know where I would have, if I'd done a bracket, would I've I probably would have picked Zheng, just because she is a top 8 player. She's the Olympic champion. She had that Rome run, which probably helps her case a little bit. And I guess if I have to make a call, I probably lean that way, that Zheng comes through it in the end. But it will probably go 3, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to add. I mean, it's a fantastic matchup. Definitely expecting some fireworks from there.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.